Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. It's been an enormous morning for me, Mr. Sheepdog, this morning, as I had my autism diagnosis meeting, and it started at 9:30, finished about 12:15. It was very long and very. We had to have a break midway through, and I was very nervous, as you can imagine, because it was me, a doctor, and my sister just kind of sat there while the doctor just asked questions, mainly to my sister, about just me growing up. And I had some input on that. I could give my 2 cents and whatever. I mean, first of all, I get why they needed to get my history, but it did feel a little bit unusual to be sat there while someone was talking about you, to someone else while you're there. It's a very weird experience, and my poor sister was just kind of like, I hope I'm not offending you. I'm really sorry, but she wasn't at all. I completely get why we had to do it and what the process was like. I asked him at the start, "Will I find out today?" And he was like, "I've done 50 of these, like this month or this past month, whatever, and 49 of them I told on the day. One we needed to go through it." And I was just like, I am a bit of a one in, I'm gonna be the one problem, aren't I? But we got into it. And it was 3 parts, just asking questions about me when I was little, problems I've got with things, how I react to things, how I do things, how I, share, how I ask questions, how I point things out. He did 3 scores, and very kindly, because I think he knew I was anxious about it, he told me the scores as he went. So at the end of part one, he was like, "This is scored out of 10. And I'm going to count this up now and tell you what you scored." No, it's not scored out of 10, sorry. Over 10 is autistic, under 10 is not. And he was like, "You scored 16 for like the childhood one, signs of autism as a child." And me and Nick were just like, "What?" Like I said to you, I was expecting to score like 11 or 12 over 10, maybe at a push, if, I thought it was all going to be quite close to the line. So part two, he went through more questions about like interests and my approach to things, my social kind of skills and that kind of thing. And the line was 8 and I scored 17. And again, we were like, I said to him then, I was like, I would have thought like 11 was pushing it, like 17. Even some of the answers, I was like, oh, that feels like, I was honest the whole way, and so was my sister. But it was like certain answers, I was like, that must bring it down a bit. That feels like that answer, that question is maybe, I don't fit that. I started to doubt certain little bit. Like I knew going into it, I was probably, well, I knew I was definitely gonna get a diagnosis, but I was like, and I'd already kind of been told that, but I was also a bit like, there might be some doubt in this. But then he was giving the scores. So on the last one, he was like, "You've scored 8 on this. What do you reckon that's out of?" And so Nick and I were just like 7, 10. And he was like, "You scored 8 out of 3 on that one." And we were like, "What?" And he's like, "And that one's quite," he said, "people don't tend to score highly on that one." But he was like, "Yeah, you're quite significantly over the line." So he basically said to me, his exact words were, when you started the call, he said, I'll give you my honest. He was like, "My first thought was, we started chatting and I just thought, he's just holding a conversation." He's weirdly said I was making eye contact, and I was like, "Well, we're over a webcam, and I don't look at the camera. I struggle to do that when I vlog, but I was looking at the screen and I was looking around. I was getting a drink. It was hot. I was a bit distracted. I was fighting a fly at one point, but he was like, "Do you know what?" He was my very, very instant snapshot impression was, "I don't know whether this guy's autistic at all." He said, but we immediately started going through answers, and he was like, "You're so clearly autistic." He was like, "I've got no doubt whatsoever that you're autistic." All the scores were high. He was just like, "Yeah, it's absolutely clear." And there we have it. I'm done and dusted. I mean, I know it was already basically done and dusted, but it feels nice having the formal doctor confirmation, rigid, that's done, that's written down, that's not going to change. There's zero chance now of anything interjecting and changing things. It's done. And I tell you, it still hasn't really kicked in. He's written a report already. He was writing it while we were talking. It's going to take up to 3 weeks for that to come in to me in a letter, but he was writing in there about how, like, he was saying he has suggestions of what all autistic people tend to need and want. and then things I might want. And he went through all of the general ones, and it was like, yeah, every single one of them was like, I need you to explain this to me in a specific kind of clear way with very precise points and maybe precise steps of what you want, and that I need, clarity, and I need consistency, and the usual things. And then we talked about, he's put in that, like, I'd probably be more comfortable working from home, which is what the occupational therapist has also said. So I'm very much hoping that the fact the doctors said it, the occupational therapist has said it, and I've said it, that maybe work will listen. Um, yeah, I just he did highlight from all the stories we told, and I'm gonna have a chat with my mum and dad after I've recorded this. I'm putting this out obviously after I speak to them, but I need to fit it all in because I'll get Ollie in like half an hour. But he did say, because I was like nervous, I was like, well, how do I talk to my parents about this without making them feel like they've missed something or whatever? And he was like, look, all your stories talk about how amazing your upbringing was, or how your parents clearly adapted to things very well. There's lots of things where Nick, my sister, was just like, her husband, or I mean, my wife's the same, Claire's the same, she'd be like, that's just weird stuff your family did. Do you know what I mean? That's just weird, sheepdog family stuff. And from what he was saying, he generally felt like my parents were just really good at pivoting to it, that maybe they needed to realize they didn't have to, or like, well, they did have to, but the reason why they had to, they just took a lot of it at face value and went with it because they're good. So he was very much saying, you're lucky you had parents who understood your needs, and I knew that anyway. I felt that anyway. My parents have been extremely supportive. He was saying that it's good that, despite not knowing, it hasn't held me back, and that kind of thing. And the conversation was very much around how I'm just struggling now, and I've struggled as an adult in jobs specifically, and certain requirements of being an adult, because I've just found them hard, or I've burnt out, and that kind of thing. And that's the thing I said to him. That's the thing I basically need help with now, is acknowledging that's the reason, and being able to then work around it and get help on it. And that help has already been helping. He was saying to me, you might want to go and get CBT. You might want to go and talk to the steps to change people. And I was like, I already am, because I rang them and said, I'm going through this diagnosis. They were the ones who said to me, well, we've reviewed it, or you're probably going to get a diagnosis, let's just push through and give you the support anyway. That support has been immeasurably beneficial to me in the past like 4 months. So yeah, I feel chuffed. He's basically said to me, do what you want with the report now. It's done. It's going to go to my doctor. I did say to my sister, we had a brief call afterwards because I just wanted to make sure she was okay, make sure she didn't feel bad about the character assassination she had to basically dish out. I did say to her, I might shred up the report and feed it to my doctor with a spoon, because he was the idiot who told me that adults don't get autism and I can't be autistic because you grow out of it. And I mean, when I rang him to say I wanted to start the process, he was the most unhelpful, ignorant, uneducated plonker about it. And the surgery did nothing to kind of help me when I emailed them about it. They just ignored it. And I just want to be able to ring him up and go, well, how'd you like them apples, you stupid man? I mean, part of me is like, no, I understand. He doesn't have knowledge of it. And he's probably reading from a textbook or a fact that he learned 20 years ago in a lesson that he spent half an hour on. But to be so dismissive, like, it only set me back a little bit. I was so annoyed by him that I went and found the Lincolnshire team and went myself. And, I don't think I got slowed down by anything. If I'd had to wait for him to write a letter and send it to them, I'd have probably been a month behind. So it's actually probably done me a favor. But the point is, yeah, the system's designed to discourage people from getting this. And I think it needs to set in. I think because I'm focused on the fact that I need to go get Ollie, and I need to talk to my parents and all of this, and I just need to not spread the word. Like, I am delighted to be announcing it, to say it's done. But I think once I've got past that, it's just going to kick in that I don't have to wait for this anymore. It's not hanging over me anymore. It's like, this is the end of the process. There's nothing really to do now. My only focal point is like making sure work's okay, and I can focus on a career. I can just focus on the sheepdog career now, which is, yeah, I mean, going. I don't think there's much more to say on this. I'm just looking through stuff. he literally, the notes I made were literally just scores. He told me who to speak to if I have any problems. He said if I disagree with anything in the report, I can talk to him. And then he just kept repeating the fact that I was clearly autistic over and over again, which I was like, at this point, mate, it's becoming a little bit offensive. Like, not offensive because it's not wrong to be autistic, but the way he just kept going, clearly. I was like, oh, come on, man. I'm trying to fit in. Like, this is my mask. I'm masking here, and you're telling me that it's no. He was labouring the point, and I was just like, all right, I get it. But no, I am delighted. He was very good as well. That he said it's not something, it's not a negative, it's a positive. It's a different way of living. Just knowing that you are that is the benefit. That's the useful thing. The way I tried to explain it to one of the kids, I don't know if it's Emily or Oliver I was talking to. I was like, imagine growing up with dogs and finding out you're a cat and you just need different things. And I was like, I know it's not quite that. It's a bad example, but it's like if you were being fed dog food all the time and you were a cat, you'd be like, "This, I'm not feeling very healthy. I'm not feeling very good. I'm not, taking a cat for walks every day. It's going to hate being on a lead. You know, keeping it in a kitchen and in a little dog thing or whatever. It's not going to work for a cat. A cat needs freedom to roam about. You know, I'm more the opposite. I don't want to stay home, but it's like trying to rate like a bird would be even different, wouldn't it? But they, you know, that's it, isn't it? Trying to. We were talking about. He raised the point that like people like my boss probably thinks, well, Sheepdog needs to be part of a team. He needs to meet the team. He needs to bond with the team. He needs to talk to people, be social, grow that network of people. Whereas that's not how I do those things. I do those things by sending messages and chatting to people over webcam and like having an organic interest that we both share that we talk about and that kind of thing. And he's like, so him forcing me to sit in a room with them is actively detrimental to my chances of making friends with them because in person I'm just uncomfortable and I've got too many plates spinning and I can't give them the attention they need. Whereas when it's just me and them over a Teams call, I can be Mr. Sheepdog. Wait, I'm here. This is how I act with you, and you know it's better. And he was sort of saying to my sister like, I probably don't think about coming to visit her because we talk, and I said the same thing. We talk over FaceTime or text or Twitter or whatever else all the time. So I don't think, oh, I've not seen her in 6 months. Whereas she's there going like, he hasn't visited me in 6 months, and so she's probably feeling a little bit like he doesn't care about me. He's not interested in visiting me. But actually, as I said to her in the call, if you'd said to Claire, come and visit me next week, Claire will tell me we're going to visit. I might be a little bit like, I haven't got the energy or I don't really want to drive all the way up there. Not in a mean way to my sister, but sometimes I might just be like, I don't fancy it. But purely from a physical point of view, not a rude point of view. But now they know that. Now they know it's because that's not how I roll. It's different. It'd be like, again, trying to say to a fish, let's take a fish out for a walk. That fish is going to die because it's been taken out of its little fish bowl. You know, I'm not going to die, but you wouldn't take a fish by hand and take it on a walk on a lead. It wouldn't work, you know. And so understanding that I have these different needs to them is going to make all the difference. Like, I was talking about how Claire keeps wanting to go on holidays and I keep panicking about it because when we last went on holiday, I was burned out for weeks afterwards. And he said, I imagine your ideal holiday would be sitting at home with a couple of friends playing some games over remote stuff and just chatting to him and you know, Nick was like reading his comics and I was like, yeah, that is that's my idea. If I book 2 weeks off work, that's what I want to be doing every day, reading. Whereas Claire would want to walk around like 50 different places and I'd be dying from it. So he was like, well, this is it. This is the sort of thing you need to find a balance on. It can't all go my way. I get that. But And Claire has already come to that realization more recently. She was asking me if I wanted to go to Legoland, and I was like, "You're not really asking me. You're telling me you want to go there, and I'm panicking about the idea of going there because it's going to be really hard." And so then she was like, "Well, you can either come or not, and I'll arrange it around you, and it's fine. But if you do come, we'll make sure we do it easily." And that was good. So yeah, exciting. It's done. I am autistic, 100%. I'm way over the line. Like, bloody hell, I didn't expect that. I was trying to do the maths. So let's add them all together. The bar was 18, 19, 20, 21. And I, out of 21, I can't do this maths quickly. I wish I hadn't done this now. I've committed to it. 10, 20, 7 had 6, bloody hell, 13. So 33 plus 8, 41. So 41 out of whatever I said, 21. I was 20 over the line for his scoring. He didn't do any kind of high, low, mid, whatever. He was saying like he went through the whole, we don't classify it as different things anymore. It's just autism, which again was good. He did tell me I had autism and I really wanted to, I was like clutching the chair a little bit thinking I don't have it, I am it. It's, you know, but I was like, I'm not going to start laying into the doctor. He knows more about this than I do. I'm not going to start correcting his grammar and whatever. But yeah, no, I feel very not relieved, just the wrong word, but I'm glad it's sorted. I'm glad it's confirmed. I'm glad there wasn't any weird side swipes. So the only other thing going on at the moment that I've already talked to you about is Oliver's situation. We had our meeting. It went really well. What we basically said was school agreed they can't meet Oliver's needs. The local authority and I made a big point to the school that they have tried to meet his needs and they've done an amicable job. They've been amazing. I said to them, in an ideal situation, we'd take the Senko and the TA and even the head to a degree, and we'd move them to another school and everything would be great. Move them to a SEN school and I'd be quite happy. They could just all, they'd be the perfect team. Obviously, we can't do that. But we basically said we don't want him going to a school on a main road because he can escape. And a couple of the schools they put forward, literally there's the door, a pathway and a main road. So if he literally made it out that one door, he's on the road. I don't want that. I wouldn't be able to handle it. They suggested a school round the corner from my mum and dad's, and I was like, oh, well, really? And then realised it was a church school. And I'm not going to go on some anti-religion type thing here. It's more a case of Ollie takes things very literally, and when they were telling him about like Jesus coming back from the dead, Oliver assumed that everyone could come back from the dead if they knew how and stuff like that. I did that video about how he was saying he wanted to die a few years back. Really upset me because he was upset, but he also didn't see the permanence of it. He felt like they'd taught him that in religion you can, therefore you probably can, and Ollie felt like he probably could, and it was like, no, I don't want you to do something stupid because you don't know the consequences. I don't want him believing things that aren't scientifically sound or whatever. I don't have a problem with him having religious beliefs, but have them when you're older and you understand their beliefs that you're not going to act on in some naive way that hurts you. So I said I'd really rather him not have to go to a church school. I went to a Catholic school growing up. I do feel like I had to unlearn a lot of stuff. I was quite naive when I started secondary school, and we weren't taught about certain things that I had to then learn later on, which just seemed really counterproductive, like creationism over the Big Bang and that kind of thing. Learning about that as an older kid was fascinating. The kids do space at school now, but I didn't do that. It was very much about God creating the heavens and the earths in 7 days. Again, I'm not poo-pooing religion, but I just said, look, it's not for Ollie. We're heathens. Let's crack on. So I've kind of been twisting this they suggested I say, look, smaller class sizes, more staff to pupil ratio, not on a main road, not religious, within distance that we can take him without being given transport. But if it's beyond a certain point, they need to provide that. What we're kind of twisting this towards is there is a very, very nice, I said this before, there's a very, very nice private school about 7 minutes away from here that his old TA works at, and 3 or 4 other members of staff that he used to get on with really well work at. And the funny thing was I hadn't mentioned to his Senko about this school, and she brought it up as well in the meeting. I'd mentioned it to the LA person that this was a school we like the look of, but we hadn't mentioned it to them, and they were like, he should really look at this school. And we all agreed that would be good. But what she said was she needs to send a letter with our demands, as she put it, to all the schools in the area, and then they need to decide whether they can meet his needs and all of this, and then the list will come back to us saying these 4 schools will meet his needs or whatever it is, and it's up to me to say, well, that's a church school, I don't want to go there, that's a school on a main road. And I'm really laboured that point that he will try and escape when he's upset and he's bolting. He won't think about it, he'll just go. And that's the worry. He'll go and he'll end up finding himself in front of a car or something. That's I can't live the next decade of him going to a school like that, because it's just a concern. So she thinks we've got a strong case of saying, well, that school's the right school. From what I understand, it's not going to cause them that much problem paying the fees because it's pretty much what they'd have to pay anyway. There was this tiny, tiny chance they put in there that if what the current school said is they can't meet his needs unless there was like a substantial amount of money spent to get a second TA in, to tag team him and work with him together and be really like 2 people on him all the time, helping him out and being able to pivot and distract and whatever. And she was like, there's a small chance that might be the best answer. But she was like, I don't think that we should go that route because it would probably be more expensive than sending him to the right environment. And it's just one of those, look, they're prepared to do it if all of this happens. So We are 99.9% sure it's happening now. We're waiting for the schools to get back. Unfortunately, the school we're looking at literally shut on Friday for summer. They are still open. The Senko will still get in contact, that kind of thing. We can go and have a look round. I don't feel too worried about going in there while there's kids there, because I feel like as I say, the Senko had already said this place would be perfect. We got in touch with his old TA, and she was like, "Oh my god, yeah, this is the ideal." Like, she worked with him for the first few years of school. She's like, "This would be ideal for him. He would love it." There's other staff there that he knows. It's got all the right things: the outdoorsiness that he enjoys, the smaller class sizes, the focus, the SEN experience. So it does feel like it'd be a good fit. We'll go and have a look around. She did say, look, if we really are unsure, which what we could do is kind of go in and see it early September and then move him in, maybe have a week at the old school and then move him in. I'm loath to do that in a way, because I don't really want him to have this kind of big goodbye moment where he has to say, obviously I want him to be able to say goodbye to everyone, but it does feel very weird. Like, I'm trying to think through the logistics of, like, when do we tell him? We won't tell him until we've committed to something. But if we can't commit to something before the end of term, I am nervous that he's going to have this kind of, he goes home and then that's it. But I do feel like if that happens, we'll probably have to invite a few of his friends over, and he can properly say to them, "I'm leaving now, we'll keep in touch," kind of thing. I do hope they will, but part of me's not. Part of me thinks hopefully he'll just make other friends at the new place. I'm more worried about that than Claire is, because I know it's going to be his number one concern. I feel like a bit of a monster, because I said to Claire, I might just tell him, and then when he's upset, just be like, "Do you want, like, here's a here's a gift." Just be like, "Here's a distraction. This will make you feel better." But I feel like that's really, I don't know if that's the healthiest way to go about it. I don't know. I just feel like we need to do something wonderful to make him feel the positivity is there. And I think once he gets over that initial, "Oh my god, I'm not going to see them again," he'll be fine, because he'll realize he will see them again if they're up for being friends, which they will be, I think. But everyone else, he doesn't really get on with, or their frustrations, or he'll be relieved to not have to put up with again. And there's a lot of stuff there, a lot of built up kind of stress that he won't have to endure. And once he's gone to the new place, he'll realize that it's really nice and it's good, and he'll be in his element. That's our plan. That's our hope. It sounds like he will be. So it's a real big moment for him, and a real big time. And I definitely think there'll be tears from us. Because it's not nice having to sort of say goodbye to what you know, but it is the best thing for him. I can't have year 5, but year 4, he's been on half days pretty much the entire year. He's been sent off to random places for the afternoon. He's had so many, having to run out into the orchard, running away, hitting out at people, getting suspended for being cornered a bit, and it's all been outbursts and natural things, and they've never blamed him. I don't know if I mentioned on stream on vlog, but we were really nervous because his teacher left with stress, and then after the events the other week, his Senko didn't come, his TA didn't come in for the rest of the week, and the head had kind of been like, "Oh, we can't send Ollie to this thing on Tuesday because his TA's not in," and he didn't say why, but I just assumed that it was because of Ollie. I assumed this was all in the teacher. No one had said that. I'd been told by a mum that they'd left on stress, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I put in this group about how we needed Ollie to get a new school. So this mum messaged me saying like, "Oh, how comes are you looking at secondary schools? What's the plan?" And they were really helpful. But I mentioned to her, I'm nervous that the teacher's left, and maybe Oliver's contributed to that because he's been so difficult. And it turned out actually the teacher's parent had passed away or something like that. They'd had some sort of family loss, so they were leaving because of that, and it's hit them hard. So then I felt really guilty that we'd obviously assumed that we'd played some part in this. But then with the TA not being in from this event that kicked off the other week, we just assumed she was hurt and didn't have a good time. And then it turned out she'd had a family relative who was very sick as well, and she was actually just off to look after them. So his Senko told me, "Oh, she's off because of this." And I was like, oh, I thought it was because of what had happened. And she was like, "No, the only outcome of what's happened is the TA's really upset that she didn't manage to avoid it. That her job's to kind of guide him through the situation, but he got out and he got upset, and then she had to do that and got hit. She's upset that Oliver was put in that position by her, not the other." And I was like, that is really nice to hear. She was like, "Please don't blame yourselves or blame Oliver. We would never dream of..." She was very much like, "None of this is on Oliver. it's entirely under our control, and he's an absolute gem. We love him, and I nearly cried there because she was just so nice about him, and she was just like, he's an big part of the school. We all want to support him. We want to see him do well. She said, I do think moving on is the right thing for his needs and making sure he doesn't have this kind of self-esteem damaging stuff happen. But she was like, we will miss him, and we enjoyed having him here. And I was just like, that's so nice. It was just like a weight off my mind, because I just felt like it was all going wrong. And they're very supportive of how we are supportive in all of this. And it's just, it's just been, I tell you, I feel weird at the moment, because I feel like I feel like I hit, as I'm saying that, a part of my mind just relaxed a little bit, and I feel a bit like, oh, go for a kip now. I feel like I need to get Ollie, and then I need to snooze, I think. I feel like it's all a relief. This is a very positive video end to end. I feel great, and I'm just delighted. I feel like Oliver's story is going on to a new chapter. It's going to be great for him. My story is going on to a new chapter that's going to be great for me. Everything's coming up Sheepdog. And I feel like I probably just need to stop talking now. This has been a long one, but it's been a big one. It's been an important one. I am one of the neurodivergent Illuminati now. That's it. I don't know why I said Illuminati, but I'm part of the gang properly, formally. I mean, I was anyway, and I don't mean to sound like I was before. As we've always said, self-diagnosis is equally valid, and I always feel that, and I don't feel anything has particularly changed, but I know that everyone who's watching this in that scenario, being like that all this year, there's always been that niggling little, but what if? And I just feel great having got rid of that. And that's the only thing that I feel, for me, it's removed that self-doubt that I was building up. Not everyone will have that self-doubt, and nor should they. I've always said that, even if, like Kev, for example, if he never bothers getting a diagnosis, he's still 100%. You can just see it. You can feel it. I know. He knows. If you know, that's it. I just feel good to have got it sorted, and I'm more relieved because it's removing the barriers that again, a lot of you will know there's barriers if you're you can go so far with self-diagnosis, but work and the law won't protect you from certain things as much as it should do. So it's nice to know that I'm protected now by those certain things. If anyone ever needs support going through this process, I have learned a few things that I can help you with. I've learned about support. I need to do another video about this in future. If you are looking for if you don't know about your local support, message me. I was telling someone about it the other day. I asked my steps to change people. I was like, if I lived in another area, what would I Google to find you? And she told me all these details, which I need to go and read. I've forgotten about. But I can tell other people about that now. I just thank you all for your help, because you've got me this far. You've helped me overcome a lot of randomness and problems. And it's just a relief. I feel like I just can focus on other stuff now. It's sorted. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're all well. Have a good week. Let me know how your week's going in the comments. Let me know how your weekend went. All that stuff. Comment. Talk to me about your life below, because I like hearing from you all. And I'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.